Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated on providing you the how-tos of marketing and networking strategies. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, I want to thank you for tuning into Networking with Michelle. Today we are going to jump right in talking about pricing strategies. Now, I know if you've been in business, regardless of which type of business, pricing can be very, very, very difficult. And even for me to be in business for, I think, about 3 years now, I struggle with pricing. I have people tell me all the time I'm too high, which I think I'm too low. But hey, Warren Buffett has this quote. He says, the single most important decision in evaluating a business is pricing power. The single most important decision in evaluating a business is pricing power. And I know one time I had a chance to sit down with a consultant, Chrissy Jackson of Women CEO Project. And if you follow her on social media, she always has this analogy. Do you want to be Neiman Marcus or do you want to be Walmart? Do you want to be Neiman Marcus or do you want to be Walmart? And of course, a lot of us, everyone's thinking, I want to be Neiman Marcus. You want to have that high end. You want to have that quality from the way you run your business, presentations, services, all of that. Now, with that analogy, I also want to keep in mind, I do believe it's a mindset. And I say that because I've had people, especially early on, it's easy to kind of price yourself too low. And most people, they start off with, $50 or $500. That's always like a good starting figure. But I've had people tell me that I need to lower my prices to increase my volume, right? And I'm able to make more money, which is pretty much like the Walmart theory, so to speak. But I realized is, one, that's not necessarily true. Two, if it happens to be true, you just have a lot of work. And if you're starting out as a 1, maybe 2-man team, you start to stretch yourself really, really thin. Also, those individuals that tend to fare on the lower end, it can become a headache. They want a lot of attention. They're not getting back to you in a timely fashion. It could be not worth it, so to speak, right? But if you have that Neiman Marcus pricing with that Neiman Marcus client, they trust you. They're going to let you do what you do best, right? They probably been through this before. They probably have, they know what to expect, but maybe they just need some clarification on how you operate, and they're going to let you handle it. And with that in mind, you need to keep to your word, report back in time, address issues as they come up in a timely manner, and hopefully finish the project or whatever you're working on in a timely fashion, as well as, have the presentation. And one thing that comes to mind now is like, why is Tiffany's so popular, or even Neiman Marcus? When you think about when you buy something from there, you get a quality bag, right? You don't get the plastic bag like you get at Walmart, but you get a quality bag. You get quality gift wrapping. You get the turquoise box from Tiffany's with the ribbon or the label on it, And just think about if you have a product, think about your packaging. Think about the presentation. And if it's a service, think about the process you're bringing your clients through. That's going to allow you to determine what your pricing power is. Now, a couple of years ago, I invested in this book. It's a great book, and I make reference to it every year. And it's called Impact Pricing by Mark Shiving. Let's see. Impact Pricing, your blueprint for driving profits. And one of the things that I learned from this book, and has continued to stand out over the couple of years, is the concept of value-based pricing. Value-based pricing is when you're able to charge a client what they're willing to pay. It's that simple. What are they willing to pay? Now, a couple of things you have to keep in mind is your time and your market research, right? And this is really important when it comes to consulting. And I'll just put myself out there as an example. So usually if I'm consulting, I do something different because I'm trying to set myself apart. Usually you get a 90-minute consultation with me. So we'll just say $100, $100 for 90 minutes, okay? And I have people tell me that's expensive. Well, it's $130 for 90 minutes. But I tell people tell me that's expensive. And I'm like, well, how many consultants do you know that allow you 90 minutes, right? Most consultations are 45 or 60 minutes. So technically, I'm pretty much even with people, but people are not used to hearing that time frame, that 90-minute time frame. So they think it's pricey because usually you're paying starting out $50 to $75 for 45 to 60 minutes. So if I say $130 for 90 minutes, the math is technically the same if you break it down, but all they're thinking about is 130 minutes. They're not thinking about the time. Also, with that, any good consultant, they may sit down with you just to say, for easy math, an hour, but more than likely they're spending an additional 30, 60, maybe 90 minutes on you without you even seeing that, right? And what does that mean? That means that person is researching your business, your social media profiles, just an overall Google search, whatever they can find. They're probably researching some of your competitors. That way they have material to provide to you when they sit down with you for those 60 minutes. That they're versed not just in your business, but in your industry. That way they can provide you with valuable information and hopefully action steps to move you forward. Right. But you're not going to see that on the front end. And on the back end, it just depends if they're drafting reports, putting, some type of document together for you, whether it's a proposal or recommendation notes, that can just vary. And all you're seeing, if you're the client, the consumer, all you're seeing is the 1 hour sit down at Starbucks. But I'm pretty sure that consultant spent an additional 30 to 60 minutes just preparing for the meeting. Okay. But the true value comes into, I'm not charging you for my time. The true value comes into the knowledge I provide for you, right? I think lots of times, whether I sit down with you for 60 minutes or 10 minutes, if I'm able to explain everything to you in those 10 minutes and you're able to do step by step and see results, that's a lot more valuable than sitting down for a whole hour, right? Because you gain your time. You maybe spend the same amount of money, but you gain your time. You have more time that you can go back and put those steps into practice. So think about it when it comes to value-based pricing. What is the client willing to pay for, as well as when you're calculating, are you putting that time and market research into that client? And of course, whether you're a service or a brick and mortar business, you have your fixed and variable costs. Now, some of your fixed costs may be, for me, I do everything, I work at home. Some of your fixed costs may be, I pay for a ConvertKit, an email service provider. I pay $29 a month, right? Every month. Some of the variable costs, although I don't have that here so much, I'm very, very, very low when it comes to my expenses. So another example of fixed costs, it could be your rent. It could be maybe even Facebook advertising. Maybe you just spend $100 a month, every month for the next 3-4 months. So those are some examples of fixed costs. Now, variable costs, let's see here. So earlier I mentioned Walmart and Neiman Marcus. I mentioned the packaging, right? So that may be a variable depending on how much you sell each month. How much you sell each month, because it's based off of your volume, right? So based off of the number of customers, depends on the number of bags that you need and how much you need to reorder each month. So those are some small ideas on what fixed and variable costs may be. So that's something you also have to consider when it comes to your setting up your value-based pricing. Now, one thing that I've learned is your brand's price and image can be closely related. Your brand's price and image are closely related. Now, I've been fortunate to always work with the same graphic designer for my major project, Studio 1816. You can definitely check them out. Show notes. The website will be in the show notes. But I've had people tell me, based off of my presentation and the uniform of my business card, my book, and my website is like, you must be expensive. Now, once again, I think I'm reasonable, but it's good to have that first impression. I feel that if someone approaches me, they can't approach me with that nonsense and sort of like, I want to do this, but can I get a discount and all that type of stuff. Also, another thing, so think about your branding, the branding elements, your business card, your overall graphic design work from business card, website, and any other type of marketing collateral that you create. Try to keep it as uniform as possible. And if you have no creative design ability like myself, definitely hire it out. Now, depending on what you need to get done, I would say absolutely go to Fiverr, get some quick things done, quick fixes, or that's not going to hurt you. But Fiverr's coming up though. Fiverr, they definitely been changing some things, so it's not always bad. You can always go to Upwork.com, 99designs.com, and you can find graphic designers there. I haven't used any, but I do see that has been some great resources for other people within the online marketing space. Another thing I want you to remember before I go, being different creates value. And I remember in the beginning, even now I'm going back and revamping a business plan. And I used to always get stuck here. What is your value proposition? What is your unique selling proposition? And that is so important to knock out in the very beginning of your business plan, marketing plan. We've been talking about this. And this is why, because everything is going to fall underneath. Once you figure out what makes you different, that's where the value is, right? That's where the shine is. That's where you're going to spark the best. Because people are like, I get it. Think about... Remember Nokia? No, you don't. They went out of business, right? But Apple revolutionized technology, period, hands down, right? But think about when they came out with the iPod and they leveled up and created the iPhone, the smartphone, the first smartphone. And they did a few pricing strategies that we didn't really get into, but they were first to the market. And they've been able to dominate ever since. Well, I guess Android, and I have an Android phone. But think about the smartphone. iPhone or Apple, and I'm Android, Samsung. They have been able to dominate because there's those little things that make each phone, each brand different. Whether it's thin, nice design, of course, memory. And this is a good point. Very simple. The more memory your phone has, the more expensive it is, because the more value it's going to bring to you based off of your lifestyle, right? So especially if you are if you're a video person, a creative, I think this is great. You're probably going to get the phone or the tablet that has the most memory because you're doing a lot of work, right? That's the value add. It's worth it. You're going to get the most use out of it. I bought this iPad I don't even know, 16 gigs. I don't know. But I got the lowest memory, and I'm upset because there's more things that I want to do. But I got what I paid for. Very happy with it. But I got the cheapest thing possible that I could afford, and I got the lowest memory. And is it valuable? Yes, but wow, it would have been a lot more valuable if I got the tablet with a lot more memory. So I think that's a nice simple example. So keep that in mind. What's going to make you different that's going to allow you to be valuable when you're out there facing your target market? And something that we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks, it's all about creating the value, right? So once you figure out what makes you different, how are you going to not just create, but educate that value to your markets? That way they can see that. And some things are not as clear. Like, we may see it. I know there was a time that I feel like I knew I was just too close. I was too much in my business. Another good example, right? Think about orange juice. I love orange juice. You have all these different brands, but we're just going to focus on Tropicana right now. You go to the store, orange juice is $2.49, right? Vitamin C, pulp. Well, I don't like pulp. $2.49, right? And then you have Tropicana B, vitamin C, no pulp, $2.69. More than likely, you're going to pay that 20 cents more because Tropicana knew within their business, within their product line, different things that those different things create value, right? It's those preferences. So think about that when you're structuring your pricing for your business. What are those little things? Seem very, very, very minute, but it can be a great preference to your client that you're able to increase the price or create a second or third package. Okay, so I gave you the example of memory when it comes to your phone and tablet, and then simple as orange juice. One thing for me, especially if you're in consulting services, if consultation can be really affordable, right? Because you're probably going to sit down with them, provide them with some recommendations. You may even take a little bit longer, a couple of weeks, do a business plan or a marketing plan. You hand it to them, and then they run with it, right? And a lot of people think it's expensive, but it's a one-time fee. And have you ever noticed that if you want someone to actually do it for you, account management, it becomes a lot more expensive. Now, it's kind of like, okay, well, do I want to pay $1,000 for a business plan? Or do I want to pay you $400 for 6 months to, I just say, operate my business, right? And it's like, oh, well, $400, you're thinking monthly payments, $400 is affordable, but it's probably a lot cheaper for someone to do that business plan for you because it's a one-time fee. So also think about that as you're a client or even entrepreneur on how you base your prices. If you want to do account management, price it a little bit more. Maybe it's not that $400, but maybe if the business plan is $1,000, maybe it's $800, maybe it's $1,200 a month, right? Because more is going to go into that within that 30-day period versus a 30-day period continually versus that 1 month that you're just working on something. The biggest thing when it comes to business and pricing, people are paying you to solve problems. So whatever those gaps are, however you're able to find them, whether it's a small gap, small fee, big gap, big problem, a bigger fee, people are paying you to solve problems. So find those areas within your expertise, within your business, that you're able to solve problems and charge accordingly for that. Remember, the single most important decision in evaluating a business is Pricing Power by Warren Buffett. And check out the book, Impact Pricing. I'm going to have that in the show notes. And once again, that author is Mark Stiving, Stiving, Mark Stiving, Impact Pricing, Your Blueprint for Driving Profits. Also, there's a great podcast. It's no longer running from what I understand. They've done 99 episodes. It's called The Art of Value podcast, and it's also a Facebook group. And it really dived into how to get to value-based pricing, and had some great interviews. And I know the podcast is only on iTunes, but definitely check that out. I learned a lot from the podcast. Great information, great resources. Look, just a couple of things. If you're here in Houston, I'm fortunate. I should be speaking on September 8th at the Black MBA event panel discussing entrepreneurship. My thoughts are always unorthodox, so I'm looking forward to that. September 17th, I will be dropping in to speak at a small business workshop. I believe a small business intensive. So I will definitely have both of those links in the show notes. Let's see, what else? I think that's about it. I think that's it on my end. If you are listening, as always, want to say thank you. You are appreciated. If you have a moment, please go to iTunes and leave a comment, a review. I will appreciate it. You can reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Make myself available on social media. Look, next week, we have a great interview with Carrie Heaps. She is a marketing strategist, a networking guru, and all I'm going to tell you is to get your pen and paper ready. She dropped value bombs all the way through. I was so blown away. Things that she was saying in the interview, I've already tried to incorporate into my business. There's like quick things that you can just go into your email account and do right away. And there's other things that I'm like working on as I'm revamping this new business plan. But I'm telling you now, next week, Carrie Heaps, get your pen and paper ready. You do not want to miss this episode when it comes to sales, marketing. We kind of put all of this together about these different strategies and tactics you can do, as well as we talk about it all: pricing, sending a cold email versus a cold call, a mindset. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. Remember two things: I believe in you, and a personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.